Hello and welcome everyone to episode three of From the Pitch to the Pros, a segment brought to you by BPTV. My name is Ellie, and I'm thrilled to be joined by our two exceptional individuals from the BP team, Sophia Braun and Kaelon Fox. So if you guys have been watching, you know that they're not only valuable members of BP, but they're also professional soccer players. So they're here to dish out some wisdom, some advice, and share some of their personal experiences from their long careers in the game. Today, we are gathered here to talk about summer conditioning. So our focus will really be on how to stay fit during the off season and discovering ways to genuinely enjoy the process. So to start, I want to ask you both if you remember your first experience with the topic of summer conditioning and the personal accountability of staying fit in the off season. So like as a younger player, how old were you when you first recall like, okay, I got to stay fit when I'm not playing with my team? And like, what were your thoughts and feelings about it initially?
I can start.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me, the first time that summer conditioning was really prevalent on my mind was going into college. I think that was like a moment that kind of solidified like fitness and conditioning as something that was super important and that I needed, especially like going to that next level, coming in as a freshman. You want to make sure that you're coming in like in top shape so that you're ready and can compete at that level. So I think that was pretty much the first time that I really thought about it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that. I think I opened my email inbox and I had a packet that was like 32 pages long. It was filled with sprints and conditioning and how to eat properly and like a calendar of like, okay, for this day you do that. So college for me was a wake up call. As Sophia said, you're coming in as a freshman. So you want to make a really good impression. So making sure that your body's in the right form. I remember specifically I was on a track and we had to do 3 miles in 18 minutes. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done. So trying to come in fit was super challenging that summer, but I did, and it was a grind to do it.
Yeah. I'm curious, what were your feelings about it? Was it like, I got this? Was it, holy cow, like completely anxious? Especially if this was like the first time you actually had the feeling of, I got to do this sort of on my own time. What were your feelings and thoughts as you were approaching summer conditioning?
I think for me, definitely going into my first year, it was a lot of nerves and anxiousness just because I didn't really know what to expect. And there were times that you had to meet, like Kaylin said, and different fitness tests that we were kind of prepping for. And I remember like the first time we had to do the beep test, and the first time I ran the beep test, I think my freshman year we had to get maybe 30 or something like that. And I think I got 22 the first time. Like it was the first time I've ever ran it. And I remember like calling one of my friends that was also coming in, and like I was in tears. I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna pass. Like
Yeah.
this was terrible. And she was like, no, I just ran it and got like 23. So it was just comforting to know that like there are other people in the same position as me. And it's definitely a lot harder running alone. So that was something that I had to remember a lot over the summer, that you didn't have people next to you pushing you to go faster. So that was hard, but a good thing to realize. But yeah.
I would agree with the nerves
Yeah.
part. Showing up to campus, being a freshman, I think I was like one of like 13 freshmen. So we were all talking about it like the day before we were supposed to run it. So we were all like nervous and anxious together, which was a pretty cool experience to share. The sophomores were like, of course, like they've done it before, the juniors and seniors as well. So they knew what to expect. But we got through it. And I think that bonded us a little bit more because that's the first time that we went through something that we weren't quite ready for. So it's a little bit of a bonding experience there as well.
Interesting. How would you say summer conditioning like shaped your perceptions of fitness? Or like were they different before that? Like how did you start to relate to fitness maybe differently after that experience?
I think honestly, I never took fitness too seriously when I was a kid. I feel like it was more fitness and games and practices, and I never really had to just run without a ball like all the time, until I got to that next level, which I'm super thankful for because it is a big part of soccer. And I definitely I needed it to be where I am today. So I am thankful for it. But I think it did definitely change my perception of it a little bit, just because I mean, fitness isn't fun, but for me, I just used it as an opportunity to kind of push myself to know that I need this to be at my best. And I mean, I'm playing my best when I'm fittest. So that's just something I try to focus on when I'm running, that it's for a good reason and it'll make me better.
Yeah, in college, for me, it was the first time that I had a fitness test. So I think I didn't really care too much when I was growing up because there wasn't really a test or there wasn't anything to prepare for. But getting that packet, that email in college, and knowing that everyone was doing something over the summer was super important for me to make sure that I made a positive impression on day one. So I didn't have anything in high school. I think we did some sort of fitness, but it was together and it wasn't too big of a deal. It was just something that we did for preseason. But college is where you get the email, you get the packet. Now it's time to make sure you're looking after your body over the summer and making sure every day you tick off that box.
Right. Totally. I think there's an extra pressure if your university or your team also makes it like if you don't pass, you don't play kind of thing. You don't get to practice. Like I know where I went, it was that way. Did you guys have those same rules? Yeah. It's a whole other layer of pressure, right? Where it becomes more than just fitness. It's like your future a little bit, your immediate future at least. How do you mentally deal with that ahead of you? Because it's one thing training your body and like, you know, knowing you could do it, but it's another thing like mentally preparing. Yeah, I'm curious, how did you prepare in that way?
Um, I think the day before and the day of fitness tests are probably my least favorite days in the entire year. But I think a lot of my team can relate to that. Our team was the same way. You couldn't practice, you couldn't play like at all if you didn't pass, if you didn't meet a certain mark. So I think there were definitely a lot of nerves going into it, but I mean, that was definitely there to push us past what we even thought we could do, which is, I think, really important because I definitely I did not know my limits before I came to college. And I mean, like I said, I think I started the beep test at like 22 and eventually got to like 40 or something like that. So, I mean, it's like crazy to see how much you can actually push yourself when there are those kinds of limits. But I mean, it's never a great feeling and it's definitely something that's hard to prepare for, but honestly, I tried to like not think about it and black out during those 12 minutes of running. That's my best advice, I think.
Yeah, I think for me it would be 2 points. The first would be getting a friend and doing it with someone. I think doing fitness alone is horrific. So I got really lucky. There were like 4 or 5 guys that were playing college their freshman year, the same as mine. So we get together, we made a group text and we go out for a run in the morning, or go do some ball drills or speed and agility, whatever it was for the day, whatever college, we just kind of pick one. So as long as you're doing something, I think that's important. And then also the second point would be to not cram. I think fitness is built over time. And if you wait until the last 3 or maybe even 2 weeks before you report, now you're looking at possible injury because you're trying to make up for lost time. So grab that friend and then just make sure you're doing something every day so that way you don't cram and injure yourself before day one.
Yeah, totally. Because I think, yeah, to your points, there's obviously fitness tests, but even beyond that, there is just general summer conditioning, just generally just trying to stay active and stay fit, whether that be with friends or by yourself. So I'm curious how that has evolved throughout your soccer careers. I know for me, when I was younger, fitness was sometimes used, a lot of times used as a punishment. So it was hard for me to want to do fitness by myself because the association was always, this is something you do when you've done something wrong, or I've done something bad, so I have to punish myself. But how and if, you know, do you change your perspective to see it as more of a tool to prepare you for the upcoming season versus something you're doing to punish yourself?
I think for me, The first time I felt truly like really fit was in college, like after pushing myself for a long period of time. And that's when I definitely was playing my best. So I think it was kind of like a realization moment almost of like, wow, like this is a tool that I can use to be a better soccer player. And so kind of implementing that where running wasn't punishment, but now it's just to make me better and it's going to pay off on the field with the ball. So that's kind of how I tried to think about it. And that's kind of how I was able to push myself to keep running.
Yeah, I think for Sophie and I, currently we play year round. So whether you're in high school and you're playing fall and then spring club, or you're in college where the fall and the spring season, I think it's important to stay in shape. It's just as important, if not more important, to stay in shape in the off season. Because when you get there on day one, and if you're not in shape or you haven't been working out, now you're going to be behind the eight ball because all the other guys are either running past you or you're going to pick up some little injuries because you're just not prepared and your body's not ready. And then you kind of spend preseason watching or behind the eight ball. So you kind of start off on the wrong foot. So the best seasons that I've had is where I took my off-season training the most serious. And that allowed me to have a really good preseason, gain confidence, and then, project that into the regular season and then playoffs. So off-season training is super important.
And what all would you say goes into that, Kaelon? Because I think sometimes it can seem monotonous, right? Especially if you are on your own or only have a few people that you're consistently playing with. So like, what would you say are your like go-tos when you are trying to stay fit in the off season?
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it so much. I kind of have a routine and scheduling and guys that I do off-season training with and where I go. But if I'm looking at, 7 days, I think at least getting out and running for 2 out of the 7 is important, being on the ball for at least 2 out of 7, and then maybe a couple lifts, just spread out. I think it's different for every person. But once you get in the groove and once you understand what your body needs, it can be really, really fun.
What about you, Sophia?
Yeah, I think for me, the most important thing was, like Kaylin said, kind of having a schedule to stick to. I'm definitely a person who, if I was like, okay, I'm gonna run later today, like I would never get to later today. So definitely scheduling was good for me and just being consistent in my workouts. Um, I also just like playing soccer, so I think that's like a big one for me. If I can get to like a field with a few friends, like I know I'm gonna be there for 3 hours and like have a great time doing it. So definitely keeping like that fun part of it was important for me as well. And I mean, I'm lucky I have my brother who plays, so I kind of always have like a little training buddy with me, which has been nice growing up. But yeah, I would say not to forget the fun parts too. I mean, you can go on a bike ride and get some fitness in. You can go swim in a pool and get some fitness in. Like it doesn't have to be something that's not fun. Like you can still enjoy your summer and get good results out of it.
Yeah, that feeds perfectly into my next question, Sophia, which is about balance, especially in the summer months, because it is off season, right? It's like off season for a reason. So really finding the right balance between rest and training is pretty crucial. And it's sort of it distinguishes off season from your regular season. So how did you guys manage both aspects during those summer months? So like having fun, resting, spending time with family, but also like taking your conditioning and your preparations for the upcoming season very seriously.
I think for me, it was it, it was pretty natural just because um I had a lot of friends and even family, like I said, my brother, who I looked forward to coming back to play soccer with. So that was really fun, kind of getting to balance together being with friends, being with family, and playing soccer to stay ready. So that's pretty special for me. And then just a lot of different like activities. I think to mix in would be a good place to start. Like I would go to yoga with my mom sometimes or different like workout classes with her, stuff like that to kind of make it fun and mix it up is definitely something that I would suggest. But I think for me, I love the off season and just to be able to work like almost even harder than I was during season. Like I always saw it as kind of a time to get an edge on competition or whatever it is. So I really enjoyed the off season and kind of always wanted to work really hard, even though it was the off season.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm like super organized in my off season. I like to make sure that I'm well prepared. So I'll kind of look at it like if we have, 8 weeks off, let's just say, I'll take the first 25%, so the first 2 weeks, and just do nothing. Relax, spend time with family. I'll play golf a lot. I'll go like mountain biking, I'll do swimming, I'll do something like just to get my mind off soccer because I've been doing it for like 10 months. And then after the next 25%, so the next 2 weeks, I'll probably train like 3 times a week, just easy, nice and slow to get my body back. And then the last 4 weeks, I'll, keep going, keep ramping it up. But to Sophia's point, like just relaxing and getting your mind off soccer is sometimes way more important than training and doing strength and doing yoga and that stuff, because everyone needs a break. So giving your mind some time to just relax and take it easy is super important. And obviously spending time with family and getting outside and enjoying the weather is always great.
Of course. Well, do you guys have any advice for players who maybe have a hard time resting? And could you maybe provide any like indicators of burnout and what burnout might look like during summer conditioning, just showing that maybe you've been pushing it a little too hard and it is time to sit back and rest? What would those indicators be?
I myself am probably that person a little bit, and I definitely have friends who are too. I know my parents would like beg me to not work out some days or to like take a day off. But for me, I mean, I think obviously like injuries are the biggest thing. So like if something's like starting to bother me or flaring up, like I think your body is really the biggest sign of like what you can take and what you can't take. So it's so important to listen to your body. And I mean, I can't say that enough. Like if something's hurting, like stop, you need time off. Like it's the off season, coming back injured is going to be so much worse than taking a day or two off. So I think that's really important.
Totally.
Yeah, my burnout is probably my parents. They'll either text me, or if I was living with them, they'd be like, "Hey, like, listen, you've been going 4 or 5 days in a row. Let's go on the boat, or let's go play some golf or enjoy time off." When I was with my friends prepping for college, they would kind of let me know if it was time to take a day off. But I think planning and making sure that you give your body enough time to be able to push it, yes, but then take breaks, because you're going to be going for 3 or 4 months when you get into the season. So preparing right, and then like Sophia said, just listen to your body. There's some things that you can maybe push through a little bit, but then there's others where you recognize pain, and it's really important just to take the right amount of time off.
Totally. Yeah, just to being in touch with the body and the mind, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So another thing that is prevalent in the summer months are vacations, right? So summer vacations, oftentimes if you're leaving your house or you're leaving your city or your state or wherever you are, it's going to disrupt your routine. And that includes your fitness routine. So in your pasts or even in your presence, like how do you personally approach staying fit during vacations, during periods where you're in a different place in a different setting and your routine might be shaken up a little bit?
I think it can be really hard. I've definitely had vacations where like even just like touching a soccer ball was not super realistic. Which like I think the biggest thing for me was I just had to like tell myself like it's okay, like you're gonna be okay. You can go a week without playing and you're not gonna forget how to play soccer, like you're gonna be fine. So I think just reminding myself that it's okay to take a break and it's okay to not play soccer for a little bit. There's definitely, I mean, most places usually have somewhat of a gym, or I mean, even running outside is super easy and something that you can definitely do wherever you are. So I think for me, the biggest thing was just trying to keep my fitness, like just try not to drop. Like you don't need to make any crazy gains during vacation. Like you can map out where you're going to be, and kind of understand during the off season that, okay, if I'm going to take a vacation this week, like let's not push hard this week. So just having that understanding and knowing that it's okay to take a few days off and it's okay to not push yourself really hard and have fun with your family or your friends wherever you are.
Yeah, vacations are super hard. I think because you don't, yeah. Usually my vacations were to the beach, and if I'm looking out in the morning and see the beach, like I'm not thinking about touching a soccer ball or going on a long run. So I think it's super important to, even if it's 7 to 10 days, like it's okay to just relax and enjoy time. There's not, go on vacations often. So oftentimes they're with your friends and family. So enjoy that time and then just hit it a little bit harder when you get home. But yeah, that would be my advice. Not great advice, but enjoy yourself.
Well, I have a trickier one for you guys, which is more related to college students, so student athletes at the university who play at the university level. Summertime for them often presents like a unique opportunity to study abroad, whereas they typically can't because of the fall seasons and their spring training. So, what would you recommend for a college student athlete who maybe is leaving the country for a longer period of time? Who is trying to have cultural experiences and try different cuisine, but still trying to maintain their fitness goals during their summer conditioning. What would you recommend to them, and what type of advice would you give for them to stay fit while they're abroad?
That's really hard. um, I don't think we had anyone on my team do that. I think most of the girls did it their like senior year when they were done with soccer. They went in the summer or for that spring semester since we're a fall sport. But I mean, I definitely think it's doable. You just have to kind of have the right mindset going in. And I think, like I said, and like Kaelon said, having a schedule is super important. So if you can be disciplined and committed enough to get a workout in, whether it's running, soccer, or lifting at some point. Maybe that's how you start your day every day and kind of sticking to that schedule, I think is going to be really important. And I mean, I always liked doing it kind of early in the morning just so you get it out of the way and you have the rest of the day to kind of enjoy yourself and you don't have to be thinking about those 12 100s you're going to run later in the day. But that's what I would say.
Yeah, I'm super passionate about this one because that's something that I didn't get to do while I was at college, just playing the Division 1 level. Obviously, your main season is the fall, but in the spring they stress just as much as the fall. It's important because you're working on fitness, you're working on getting that strength up for the fall season. So I didn't get to study abroad. I know plenty of people that did, and I know that they really enjoyed the experience. I mean, culturally, just living in a different country, all the experiences you get. So I wouldn't worry too much about training and staying fit over there. Of course, if you want to go out and run and do some stuff with the ball, that would be great. But just living in that moment, going from country to country each weekend when you don't have school is super awesome. So really enjoyed that. If I did get to do that, I probably would have reached out to maybe some local soccer teams or football, as they call it over there. I think that would be really cool. Teams are always looking for players to come in and train. So if it's, I wouldn't say top division or second division, but third or fourth division, just so you're on the ball and experiencing something different. And maybe you never know, you might get a contract.
That's solid advice, Kaelon. I appreciate that. I do think it does show too, even the importance of the mentality piece, where of course, take yourself seriously, take your career seriously, but leave room for life and other aspects of life to happen as well.
Yeah.
So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about maybe some advice for coaches. So what advice would you give to coaches who want to design effective summer conditioning programs for their players? Like, in your experience as a player, do you wish you would have had a little bit more information, or a longer packet or a shorter packet, or more guidance on what to do during your summer conditioning? Or were you happy with your experiences?
I was really happy with my experience. I think my college did a really good job. I know it was mainly our strength coach that was kind of the one building it out for us, but it was super explicit. Everything had like times that he wanted us getting, and it ramped up, which was really nice. Like there was no expectation for you to not take like a couple of days off to start and work your way back up into a good fitness level, whatever that might be. But I really like when it's kind of written out and you can just follow it and it's easy. You don't have to come up with anything yourself, and you're going to be ready to go like from following that packet. Another thing that I really enjoyed with ours was there were some things you could choose, which I really liked. I think just having the ability to have some freedoms and choose it yourself is really important. So sometimes there would be like a pool workout or a bike workout or like a treadmill workout, and you could choose one of the three. So I think that was really fun, just kind of being able to mix it up, and feel like we're in control a little bit in the off season.
All right. No, variety is the spice of life. I feel like that is probably
Yeah.
key and trying to enjoy the summer conditioning process.
Yeah.
The summer before my freshman year was probably the hardest in terms of just staying in shape, because I didn't really know what was to come. But every summer after that, I played on a USL2 team, which I think was super valuable because you don't really have to look at the packet at that point, just because you're with all the guys and you're playing soccer, 3 to 4 times a week. So I think there's value in joining a USL2 team, I think it is, or like an amateur team. So that way, you're staying in shape. Soccer is really hard to stay in shape for because it's basically just like a bunch of interval running. So you're jogging, you're running, you're sprinting, you're walking again. So going out and just doing a 3 mile jog sometimes isn't enough. So finding a team to play on really helped me. And then also when you're playing on an amateur team in the summer, you get all the benefits of being, in a locker room around all the guys, living with them, stuff like that. And then there's no schoolwork. So you get the best of both worlds in the summer. But yeah, that would be my 2 cents.
Okay, cool. I'm curious if you guys have found any like of the commercial fitness classes to be helpful in your conditioning experiences, or if you're just like, no, like Orange Theory, Barry's Boot Camp, Kaelon Soul Cycle, right?
I did CrossFit a little bit this past
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
and I
What
enjoyed
was
it.
it's like?
Yeah, I liked CrossFit because we did like Olympic style weightlifting, which is really prevalent in college soccer nowadays. And then it was like cardio kind of stuff in between, whether you're on the bike or you're on the rower. So I enjoyed CrossFit. I've done Orange Theory. Didn't think it translated too much. I think Soul Cycle would be a really good one, just biking once or twice a week. But yeah, CrossFit was an interesting one. I like that.
Yeah. Tough.
Yeah, super tough.
What about you, Sophia? I know you said you did some yoga.
Yeah, I did yoga. That was more of like a recovery, which was really nice, and I liked it. I'm not a very flexible person that focuses on stretching, so it was challenging, but I think it was good for me. I also did like a cycling class. I started doing a cycling class, I think my senior year, when my everyone else in my class wasn't taking a fifth year, but I stayed. So they all took up cycling and I joined them, and it was really fun actually. I enjoyed it a lot, and I mean it's pretty good workout. So
It's like a
I
party.
would recommend it. It is. It's kind of hard too to stay on the
Yeah,
beat.
it is. It's just dancing, but it's actually a lot. There's a lot going on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
So are there any other like resources, like specific apps or platforms that you have like found to be helpful in maintaining fitness or nutrition or anything like that in the off season, or is it mostly just your like manual packets and things?
I think for me it was pretty much just my packets and then being able to play with the people that were close to me, which was really fun. So I don't think I really followed anything in particular, but I definitely got plenty of fun workouts in, which was good.
Yeah, packets for me as well. I would take a few notes, like if we did a workout in the gym in like the springtime when we do a lot more weightlifting. If I found something that was really cool or like a couple exercises that helped me and made me feel a little bit stronger, I would kind of jot those down and maybe put those occasionally into the summer workout and kind of build a plan towards what I think I needed at the time. But other than those two, yeah, just the packet and a few extra cool workouts.
Nice. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna close out with a little rapid fire round. You're each going to share your top 3 favorite drills to do. It can be with a group or on your own in the off season. And we'll do it like this. We'll go Kaelon, Sophia, Kaelon, Sophia, Kaelon, Sophia. So you'll share one. So it gives you a little bit of time to think in between, okay?
Oh boy.
Start, Kaelon, with just saying one. Just give one drill or yeah, some drill that you can do on your own or with a few friends that helps you stay fit in the off season. Go.
Interval running. So like 15 seconds at a sprint or like 75%, and then 45 seconds at a jog to recover.
Okay, solid. Sophia.
We did like field runs. So you jog the length of the field and then you sprint the width. So you really fun.
Okay. Okay. Kaelon.
I would say agility with the ball. So like cones and ball, whether you're going through them and then kind of sprint towards halfway or anything like that. Drills, yeah. Pair up the ball with running.
Okay, Sophia.
I would say like small sided games. So like 3v3, 4v4, just playing for a long time. You'll definitely work hard and run a lot too.
Last one, Kaelon.
Futsal. Ball has to stay on the ground. It's a little bit heavier, quick touches. It's better than indoor, I believe, but futsal.
Okay, last one, Sophia. This is it.
We did like a dribbling circuit that I really liked. So 3 different dribbling things, end it with a 100-yard full field sprint, and then rest for a little and do it again. I liked it a lot though.
Get your touches. That's great. All
Yeah.
right, guys. That wraps up today's episode on summer conditioning. I hope you guys found some useful tips in this to, get into your summer conditioning, but also try to enjoy it a little bit and find some balance in it. Anyways, that's all we have for today, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.